Hey everybody, it's your girl Ness of Glamour by Ness, and welcome. Today, what day are we on, y'all? Day 16. Let's get it. Let's get it. So, what is our topic for tonight? Boundaries as a blessing. Hey y'all, it's your girl Ness of Glamour by Ness, and welcome to my cozy corner here on YouTube where beauty meets real life. So settle in and let's glow together. Y'all know how I like to do it. We start off with an affirmation, and our affirmation tonight for our topic this evening is my boundaries honor my worth. If you don't have any boundaries, get you some, okay? My boundaries honor my worth. What are boundaries? They're not rude, they're protection. Most people, when you insert or put up a boundary with them, they tend to take it negatively. Now, I will be the first to say guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Okay, because who you saying no to? And it wasn't until I started understanding what my boundaries are, and essentially inserting them, asserting them, and not being afraid to do so. I realized, like, oh, this has to be a two-way street. This can't be just a one way where, I'm asking everyone to respect my boundaries and I'm not doing the same. But truly, boundaries are protection. And I do have a story time that I'm going to share later on where, you know, you have to, one, pick up what the other person's laying down, specifically when it comes to their boundaries. But also, you have to understand that some people's boundaries may change, and that's a okay. Your boundaries may change, and that's a okay. And you may have one boundary, you know, one day, and then it completely changes the next. So, who's to say how long you have your boundaries for? But you have to protect yourself, you have to protect your peace. Okay, thanks for the love, guys. Thanks for the love. Now, if you coming in here acting stupid, today is not the day. You will get cussed out. Thanks. Okay. Anyway, so in doing, and I actually have my book today. I am really hot. I don't know why I just got hot all of a sudden. So we're discussing my path through the 60-day manifestation cleanse, and we're talking about boundaries and how honestly boundaries can be a blessing if you honor yourself and be respectful of yourself and others. And it's honestly how well you communicate. And the way my standards changed for me during my 60-day manifestation cleanse, this is the one I did and completed by Armand Wiggins. If you don't know, find out. But my boundaries essentially were and are for me. There were things and behaviors that I was exhibiting that I wasn't fond of, and it was no longer in alignment for the season that I am ushering in. It's no longer serving me. It's actually very detrimental to me. So my boundaries have become better time management, better eating habits. I'm working on the sleeping habits, but it's also in how I respond to other people, how I respond to experiences. Back then, I used to believe that things were happening to me. Now, thank you, Dots, for socks. I love them too. And they actually are from Zelo. Do I have the package? And no, this is not a this is not a thing, a sponsor or whatever. But this is where I got it from for like $7. And they're prescription. But in essence, I've really had to thank you for the glasses comments, guys. They are so cute, aren't they? Like a little bling. But yeah, so you know, um I realized in order for me to call in the soft life that I'm ushering in, that I want to have, that I want to manifest, I have to get real about being a new me, being a different me. And if I'm calling in, money, then who am I currently with money? How do I manage it? How do I keep it? How do I, you know, what's my relationship with money like? And, instead of spending frivolously, maybe the boundary I set is to save $20 per paycheck for whatever goal, for security purposes, etc. Or it could be very well to stop spending and to pay down my bad debt. So, you're welcome, Kiara's Place. I find that hard to believe. So, in any event, um, having boundaries and inserting boundaries not only for yourself and for other people is essentially teaching others how to treat you. But what I really want to focus on is not necessarily other people, but yourself. And again, I have a story time in how I didn't even realize it then. I mean, I didn't realize it then, but as you kind of go through your experiences, things that happened in the past, when you start ascending and learning the lessons, it kind of like the pieces of the puzzle starts to kind of fall into place. And so even in dating, y'all, even in dating, I've had to insert boundaries. And I'm really, 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 really proud of myself in this area because back then I feel I would entertain, right? Scarcity mindset, almost anyone and their shenanigans, specifically men, right? Um, but I realize in the season that I'm in, again, manifesting, going through this cleanse and really getting down to the nitty gritty of what is it that I want and what is it that I feel I need to release in order to make room to call in what I want, what I'm manifesting. And even in dating, I mean, I have two stories where, you know, guy number one, let's just call him guy number one, um, just was wasting my time. My God, today. And I had to ask myself, like, are we desperate? Are we desperate? The answer was no. And so, in answering that, my next question was, you know, why are we still entertaining this? If we're calling in the loves of our lives, whirlwind romance, long-term romance, like to be treated right, to be loved, to be courted, to be cherished properly, why are we entertaining fools? And the old me would have made all of the excuses in the world to hang on, right? The new me, post cleanse, was like, sir, to the left, okay? You're wasting my time. Go waste somebody else's time. Stop wasting my time. Guy number two, I didn't feel safe. And that is pivotal for me in the space that I'm in and the space that I'm attracting, the life that I'm attracting. I want to feel safe. I want my man to make me feel safe. I don't want to have to tell you how to make me feel safe. if that makes sense, right? I mean, it was just very minute things. One for guy number two, no, I take that back. It's not very minute, but it was small actions that made me feel Kira's palace. Is it palace or place? Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I'll return the favor as soon as I'm done with this live. But with guy number two, two instances that may have seemed, very nonchalant or, minute to him, but they were huge red flags to me. One being that we were walking towards the establishment that we were headed to, and I was walking on the street side. I wasn't walking on the inside. So he didn't protect me, right? That's major to me. That's a boundary for me. I need to feel safe. And two, upon our return, um, he asked if he should, or he, yeah, well, he asked if I wanted him to walk me to my vehicle. And for me, it didn't compute as to why you were asking me that question. I mean, it goes without saying. Do you want me to make it home safely, or rather to my vehicle, or not? And that was just like red flags, like flashing red lights, abort, abort, abort. I didn't feel safe. I did not feel safe. And there's a plethora of other examples with that situation where I'm like, hard pass. But back then, I would feel inclined to want to hang on because of the possibility of, the what ifs, the potential. We tend to kind of look at people, specifically, I tend to look at people for their potential, like what they really could be versus what they're actually showing me in that moment. And so, um, I celebrated that. I celebrated letting that go. Now, don't get me wrong. I was kind of sad. It's like, dang, another one back bites. Well, to the both of them, like another one bites the dust. But I shifted my mindset to say, no, not another one bites the dust. I'm getting closer to the person meant for me by inserting my boundaries. So back to point number one, boundaries aren't rude, they are your protection. They're there to protect you. And once you get of that, out of that space and feeling of woe is me or it never happens for me, you really allow yourself to be celebrated and to call in who will rise up to your standards, right? And so, point number four, friendships. This one, this one's a big one. So, how friendships and relationships shift when your boundaries get stronger. And I think I was trying to make a point earlier, like the boundaries I have doesn't necessarily dictate how somebody treats me or how I want them to treat me, but how I want to treat myself, because I love myself. I love myself so much, you guys. I've grown so much, and I'm in awe of my growth in what it is that I'm manifesting, even though it's not here yet. But just the sheer amount of reading that I've done and the knowledge that I've gained and the self-reflection that I've completed, and it's still ongoing. I'm like, yo, I'm I'm a bad beat. Okay, like I'm that girl. And I love this for me because you're gonna play with it. Not me, because I'm not playing with me. So when it comes to friendships and boundaries, that can also be very tricky. I mean, relationships are already hard. I mean, relationships in general are hard. Hell, the relationship with yourself is hard, let alone with other people and their traumas, right? But it is so pivotal to have boundaries that are rooted in self love. And I say that because if you have friends that truly love you, they will respect your boundaries. Now, they don't have to like it, but they'll respect it. And it doesn't necessarily shift the dynamic of the friendship. It actually makes it stronger because you might inspire them to create their own boundaries and to be vocal about what they want, because relationships are a two-way street, right? It's a give and take. And you can't, if you're just giving, 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 at some point you're going to be depleted and you want to be poured back into. And if that other individual is not willing to pour back into it because you set some boundaries and they're uncomfortable and they don't like it, well, maybe that's not your friend. So that brings me to story time. And I don't want to go past certain time frames. I'm going to be quick with the story time. Um, Story time started with an ex friend of mine. Oh, excuse me. That made a statement. It was at a game night, and they made a statement of like, "I will never take dating advice from Ness." I'm like, "What? What did I do?" And so, and it was a group of us. It was just not, a one-on-one thing. However, she began to explain that I tried to hook her up. So this is a story. I essentially was leaving work one day and I saw this tall, statuesque, dark, handsome black man. That man was fine. Okay. Whew, that man was fine. But anyway, and he drove a Porsche, like cha-ching. So immediately, because I was with someone at the time, so of course I'm like, damn, back I should have just kept Eddie for myself, okay? But um, we just kind of saw each other in passing. I saw his car, so I ended up taking a picture. Just probably why she said what she said, but I don't care. Ended up taking a picture of this man's license plates. I'm like, we're gonna look this man up, see, who he is, if he's a good guy or not, or whatever the case is, and kind of like create a meet cute for them. This is the type of friend that I am, okay? I'm like, oh, I'm conspiring with the universe to set y'all up. And she was just, I guess she was off, she was put off by it, but she never told me until like a year later, a year and a half later, like, which is crazy to me, but I digress. So in any event, she was like, back to the game night. She's like, I will never take, dating advice from you. And, she's telling the story and everyone's laughing. And I'm like, I mean, wouldn't you like that would be a bomb ass like love story. It really would. And I'd have been like, thanks to me. So in any event, we are women of a certain age. We're considered aunties now. And, she's getting up there and I was older. I'm older than her. And everyone really around the island was saying the same thing as far as, when it comes to you dating at a certain age, the things that you would nitpick at when you're 25, you don't nitpick at when you're 35. Like, life begins to get really real. And so you kind of look over the, superficial stuff and you're looking at the stuff that will matter in the long run. The person's character. Are you a good person? Are you, a person of integrity? Like, can I list you as my emergency contact? There's so many other factors that go into play because if we're going to, merge our lives together, get married, have kids, I need to know who I'm going to be sleeping with for the next 50 years. And so, real life things become more weighted than the, superficial, like what car do you drive? You know, um, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Like whatever. However, everyone was saying the same thing, like, your preference versus what it is that you essentially want, you have to get realistic with that. And sometimes finding love may be very unconventional in how it comes about, but it is what it is. And essentially, I guess she didn't like what I had to say about that. And I was like, well, look, I'm not going to hook you up anymore with anybody because whatever. So that was the game night incident. And prior to that incident, or in conversations with everybody else, and prior to that incident, we had attended a bachelorette party, and they had Yetis in the shape of can I even say can I say of the male private parts? Okay, they had Yeti pink Yetis of the male privates, and so I think a week or two later, after the bachelorette was fine, it was fun, and we were all like in a group chat texting, and I said to this friend, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if your husband is Caucasian? And that is the comment I believe that set her off, but she never said anything. Fast forward to the game night. The game night happened, which why she deemed she will never take dating advice from me. And I'm like, girl, whatever. And so a week later, we had another game night at another friend's house, and she was very cold and very, very standoffish. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out like what went wrong. And in me, understanding other people's um, preferences and how they like to handle conflict, I'm like, listen, if she's offended by anything, I trust in our friendship, and I trust that you'll contact me when you're ready to talk. And that game night at that other friend's house was very evident and clear to me. She was pissed off and didn't want to talk. Cool. I trust that you'll come and hit me up when we're ready to talk. Well, that next morning after her game night, um, she made like this passive aggressive comment, and me growing right and maturing was like, oh my god, girl, like so like I'm sorry, you know, I wish I would have never said anything because my bad. I was like, my bad. It just didn't seem, but okay. And I thought we were fine. Fast forward to the other friend's game night, we were not fine. And she ended up later in the evening after I'd left, sending this scathing text message, essentially reading me for filth and putting me in my place on on how to never ever ever discuss her dating until unless it's solicited. Cool. Now, in the way she would in which she decided to handle it, that was her way of handling the conflict, and that's absolutely fine. But as for me at my house, we blocked. That's how I protected my peace. That's how I inserted my boundary. Because for me, my standards are, if we are calling each other friend, then it warrants a conversation. And sending a text message is not a conversation, especially one that's just one sided, and it's more on the authoritarian side where I'm telling you, hey, don't F with me ever again. And that's that. When I really, in my opinion, didn't really say anything derogatory or inflammatory to warrant that type of response. So if we are friends, the least you can give me is a conversation to understand what's really happening here and give me the opportunity to either correct it or stand 10 toes down. That didn't happen. It was, I'm never taking dating advice for you from you again unless I ask you. Don't ever bring it up. Okay. And so I blocked her. I blocked her. Had we seen each other at that last game night and she was cordial and we were talking, or, just kind of like banter, I would have understood, like, hey, I would really appreciate it if, you wouldn't talk about my dating life, which I've never brought up her dating life. She always brings it up. So, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. Didn't know what you want me to do there. However, it wasn't that. It was, how I perceived it to be was, hey, don't you ever discuss my dating life unless I warrant it. And that's that. And you treat me very cold, very callous, no warmth, no anything, considering all that we have been through. So if that's the type of treatment I get when you're not happy with me, my God, God forbid I really piss you off or really do something to piss you off. What kind of treatment am I, like, is it going to get physical? So I decided to remove myself from the entire situation because it it just became very apparent that this relationship was very one-sided. And the relationships that I'm cultivating in my life, not only within myself, but with others, it's a two-way street. And it's already a challenge for me to have difficult conversations, to tell someone that I am hurt, to be vulnerable, and for someone to just be very vindictive and hey Kiara, welcome back. To be very vindictive and to be very, just like short and just nasty, really. I don't need friends like that in my life. And it was an easy decision to make, because when you respect yourself and you set boundaries for yourself, especially in friendships and in relationships, y'all are supposed to be stronger together, not butting heads. You know what I'm saying? And when you find yourself in that scenario, you have to ask yourself, self, is this becoming of who we want to be and who we want to have in our, energetic space? And if the answer is no, get rid of them. So I blocked her immediately. And ironically enough, our mutual friends tried to reason with her. And I believe because I believe, the way she's been acting in this manner, she's lost a lot of friends. Now, I've seen that side of her to other people. I never thought that, oh, okay, she will never do that to me. I just, thought, like, interesting. If that ever does happen, we're having a conversation and we'll move past it. But the conversation never happened. She was not interested in having a conversation. It was just, hey, stop doing this, and that's that. I don't like relationships like that, not even with my men. Okay. So, with our mutual friends, you know, she stood 10 toes down. She felt like she didn't do anything wrong. And one friend in particular tried to get her to understand, like, hey, you know, your actions toward this situation was not warranted. Like, it didn't give what you gave. It very gave, like, you're attacking me, and I'm honestly not the culprit here. Now, I may have hurt your feelings by, making a comment, but the comment was in jest and not even that serious. Because if I'm saying, hey, I believe that, your husband is a Caucasian man, and you don't believe that, then you could just very well tell me, like, hey, I don't believe that. And then that's that. But guys, what is one boundary that you are affirming this week? Okay? It could be with yourself, your your relationships with other people, um with what you're trying to accomplish, etc. All right? But this was a fun topic to talk about. Um, Boundaries as a blessing, because baby, it blessed me. Okay. I not only got rid of this person, but it allowed me to mourn and grieve something that never was. And what it showed me was we were never really friends. This was just a one sided relationship where she could benefit from me, per se, you know, and I walked away with nothing, which is fine. I wasn't looking for anything nor expecting anything from anyone, but it just showed, like, the way I was there for her, it was not reciprocated. All right, y'all. So that's it for tonight. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel, and let's continue growing together. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.